Hi guys, welcome back to Manifest with Armine. My name is Armine and I'm a law of attraction consultant. Okay, so I just finished the previous video about attracting health and healing. And there was something that I mentioned there that I want to make a separate video about because that was my original intention with that. So this was the quote. It was from Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And it says, in order for what is wanted to be received, what is unwanted must be allowed. And I'm going to go back to the relationship example. And this is, if you're not looking to manifest a relationship, a soulmate relationship, that's fine, because we all have relationships. We have various relationships, countless relationships in our lives, and they are instrumental to our quality of life. So if you don't allow what you don't want, then you will not receive what you do want. And this sounds so counterintuitive to what we have been taught. Like, okay, for example, if you have a problem with something, you should go and fight against it. If there's something that is unjust, if there's something that is not right, then you need to say something about it, you know? And like, look at the society we're living in today. Like, look at what you see, at least in the media, because the media shows a very small percentage of what's actually happening, right? And they will show you a one-sided perspective. But if you are passionate about something and you're passionate about changing something that you do not want, fighting it and resisting it is only going to bring more of that about. And if you don't want to accept this, then don't accept it, because I'm not going to force you. But if you're on that part of your path that you can kind of get that, as passionate as you've been about changing something that's wrong with the world, if you can get that by focusing on the opposite, which is what you do want in the world, is the only way for progression in the direction that you want. You can't turn on darkness. You have to, what the switch does, right? When you turn the light off in a room, it doesn't turn darkness on, it turns the light off. It stops the light from coming through. It stops the connection to electricity, so the light is not on. There's no darkness switch that you can't turn darkness on. So you're either allowing the well-being and the good to flow, or you're stifling it. And it seems counterintuitive, but when you are pushing against something that is unjust or you don't want in your life, if you're pushing against a boss who's not good to you, if you're pushing against a job you don't like, if you're pushing against the city you're living in, if you're pushing against friends who are not being good to you, and as much evidence as you have as to prove that, yes, these things are bad, I'm upset because these things are happening in my life, that's the time to kind of step back and say, okay, well, what have I been doing to experience this? Like, why have these things been happening to me? Because, like I said, if you're pushing against it, if you're pushing against your boss who isn't being nice to you and who isn't valuing you, then you're just going to keep getting that behavior. But just one day of switching the way you see it in your mind, you'll go in the next day and you will be treated differently. This is such an underestimated practice that Neville taught too, and many have taught, because it's true and it's simple and it's easy and it's like a no-brainer solution. Like, why would we not use these things if we have the ability to? So going back to the original sentence that this was all about, phrase that this was all about, in order to receive what is wanted, you must allow what is unwanted. And I'm not saying allow Like, oh, you should agree with being treated badly by your boss, or agree with bad things happening in the world, or what you perceive as bad happening in the world. It's about letting it go, like just let it run its course. And once you accept that, it's not going to run its course for very long. It's going to be replaced by what you're now focusing on. So instead of pushing, and for years suffering being the employee of a boss, for that example, of who is not being good to you, and suffering and going through that self-torment of my boss sucks, you know, like, instead of putting yourself through that by constantly thinking that, and of course you're not leaving at the same time, right, you're still staying at that same job, because you think that resisting it, because you're right, because technically by principle you're right, then somehow it's supposed to change. You know, that's not how things happen. You need to just allow it for that moment, and then when you go home, do some visualization. As you're falling asleep, just envision a scenario where your boss is, you know, comes to you and says something nice. Go through a scene where you and your boss are having a conversation and you feel appreciated. As foreign as that may seem, just allow yourself to have some conscious contact with that. Like, allow it to kind of play around in your mind. And you'll be amazed at how quickly something will show up. And at the same time, you'll probably reason it away and say, oh, that probably would have happened anyway. But just use that tool. You know this. You know that if you, instead of fighting against what you don't want, by just allowing it in that moment and understanding that you can instead focus on what you do want, that will start to show up for you. Pretty simple, right? But what use is it if you don't do it? So after you watch this video, are you gonna watch another video, and then another video, and then another video, or are you gonna turn this off? Even if you're gonna watch my video next, it doesn't matter. Like, or are you gonna turn it off and actually put into practice? Because when you watch something on YouTube that in that moment you feel like speaks to you, then the best thing to do is to leave off on that. Because just like that happens with books we read too, when, you know, you might be reading a book and you think, oh, this is exactly for me, like this is exactly what I need to do, and then you still have some time where you're still in that momentum of reading the book, that you just keep reading the book, and then you're absorbing other information, and then you lose momentum for that one thing that you were called to do. So just practice it. The power is in the practice, right? Just do it and reap the rewards, reap the benefits. It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's so natural how your world will mold to exactly what you envision it to be. So if you're seeing it, experiencing it as something that you don't prefer right now, then just, okay, allow it, and allow yourself that you attracted that. Allow yourself, that's fine. Because you attracted people who were on that same frequency as you were. And that's fine. Because now is now. And it doesn't matter. You can't get it wrong because you never get it done, right? So practice it. Do it. As you fall asleep, tell yourself what you want to hear now. Not just reliving the day as it went and how upset you were and what's bothering you that you said 15 years ago to somebody else, or what somebody else said to you. I mean, we all do that sometimes, but you can also do the opposite, and you can change things immediately. Like I said, and it will happen with so much ease that it won't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense as long as it works, right? All right, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, please ask below, and I will answer possibly in a video again. If you like this video, please click like. If you'd like to subscribe and you haven't done so yet, please do. Thank you guys. Bye.